There's a specific moment that happens at a lot of kitchen tables in this country, usually late at night, usually alone. You open a banking app, or a spreadsheet you swore you'd keep updated, and the number staring back doesn't match the effort you've put in. You haven't been reckless. You've had a steady paycheck for years. And somehow there's almost nothing to show for it, not because of one bad decision, but because of 1,000 small ones that never felt like decisions at all. Before we go any further tonight, one honest note, stated plainly and only once: everything in this video is general education drawn from documented cultural practices and public research. It isn't individualized financial advice, and how much of it applies to your own life will depend on your actual income, your debt, and the people depending on you, none of which a video can know. With that said, here's the actual contrast worth sitting with. American financial culture, almost without exception, teaches you to solve a money problem by earning more. Get the raise. Get the side hustle. Get the promotion. There's nothing wrong with that instinct, but it quietly assumes the problem was never on the spending side to begin with. There's another tradition, running in a completely different direction, built less around performing wealth and more around simply wasting less of what you already have. On the left, the American default, visible wealth, financed, worn like a signal for everyone else to see. On the right, a much quieter tradition, wealth that stays hidden, precisely because it was never spent chasing anyone's attention in the first place. 10 specific habits make up that second tradition, each with a real name, a real history, and in most cases, real data behind it. We're going to go through all 10, one panel at a time, and by the end you'll have an actual framework, not just an aesthetic. Panel 1, and it's the founding habit the other 9 sit on top of. It's called Kakeibo, and it isn't some vague ancient wisdom, it has an exact origin. In 1904, a journalist named Hani Motoko, widely regarded as Japan's first female journalist, published a household ledger system in a women's magazine, designed specifically for homemakers who had never been taught to manage money formally. The system is almost aggressively simple. Before the month starts, you answer 4 questions: how much income is coming in, how much you want to save, how much you expect to spend, and how you'll improve on last month. Every expense gets logged by hand into 4 categories: needs, wants, culture, and unexpected. No app, no automation, just a pen, a notebook, and a monthly reckoning. Some practitioners who've adopted the practice report meaningful drops in unnecessary spending within a few months, though that's a self-reported pattern rather than a controlled, peer-reviewed average, worth saying plainly rather than dressing up as a guaranteed result. What the ledger does reliably, even without a single dollar figure attached, is force a moment of friction between wanting something and buying it, the exact friction that a one-tap checkout button on your phone was specifically engineered to remove. Panel 2, Matanai, a word that doesn't translate cleanly into English, which is exactly why it deserves to sit on its own here instead of being flattened into "don't waste stuff." It expresses something closer to a genuine sense of regret at a thing's value going unused, a small grief at potential thrown away. You can see the same instinct physically in kintsugi, the practice of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer, not to hide the crack but to honor it, to make the repaired object more valuable, not less, than it was before it broke. Matanai is the financial version of that instinct, the reflex to repair, repurpose, or finish using something completely before replacing it, rather than treating imperfection or age as an automatic reason to discard. Panel 3, and here's where the abstract concept turns into an actual number worth following. Hara Hachi Bu is a Confucian-rooted eating practice, strongly associated with Okinawa, one of the longest-lived populations on Earth, and it means eating until you're roughly 80% full rather than stuffed. It shows up repeatedly in the Blue Zone's longevity research as one of the behavioral patterns linked to that region's remarkable lifespan. Applied to money, the principle is the same shape, stopping consumption deliberately before the point of excess, rather than at the point of discomfort. Now follow this idea into an actual chart, because this is the single most persuasive number in the entire video. Picture a line graph, 2 lines, starting at the same point. One line represents a household saving 4% of its income, roughly what a lot of Americans manage without thinking about it. The other represents a household saving 20%, the kind of gap that hara hachi bu, applied to spending instead of food, tends to open up almost automatically. Run both lines out 30 years at a realistic long-term market return, and the 4% line ends somewhere modest. The 20% line, because compounding rewards the rate far more than it rewards the raise, ends multiple times higher, not because that household earned more, but because they consistently stopped at 80% instead of 100. Panel 4, Kaizen, a word most people have actually heard before, usually in a business context, because it originated as a manufacturing philosophy at Toyota. The core idea is continuous, small, incremental improvement, rather than dramatic, one-time overhauls. Worth being precise about what kind of claim this is, the notion that small changes bypass the psychological resistance that big changes trigger is a reasonable, widely observed behavioral pattern, not a specific cited neuroscience finding, and it's worth presenting exactly that way rather than dressing it up with a study that doesn't exist. Applied to money, Kaizen means the 1% adjustment, not the total financial overhaul. Redirecting 1% more of your paycheck to savings this month. Trimming one recurring subscription this month. Small enough to bypass the resistance a total budget rewrite would trigger, and small changes, unlike dramatic ones, tend to actually survive past the first difficult week. Panel 5, Ikigai, probably the most commercialized word on this entire list, thanks to a wave of Western content that flattened it into a four-circle career diagram promising to reveal your one true purpose. That version is largely a modern marketing invention layered on top of a much simpler original concept, a reason to get up in the morning, which doesn't have to be a career at all. The financial relevance here is direct. Spending disconnected from any sense of what you're actually building toward tends to drift, quietly, toward whatever feels good in the moment. Spending anchored to an actual reason, a specific life you're working toward, tends to hold its shape. Panel 6, Wabi-sabi, an aesthetic philosophy built around finding value in imperfection, transience, and age rather than treating them as flaws to be corrected. This is where the repair over replace instinct from Matanai gets a spending rule attached to it directly. Before replacing something that still functions, run a version of the cost per use math. How many more uses does the repaired or aged version have left in it, against the true, fully loaded cost of buying new? A worn but structurally sound piece of furniture, repaired instead of replaced, is very often the cheaper option per year of use, once you actually run the math instead of just reacting to how it looks. Panel 7, Oasuji, the deep, ritual, once-a-year cleaning that traditionally happens right before the new year in Japan, clearing out the old to make honest room for what's coming. The financial version of this is an annual audit, not a vague resolution, an actual once-a-year sweep through every subscription, every recurring charge, every account you're paying to maintain, asking of each one plainly whether it's still earning its place. Panel 8, Chokin, which simply means savings, but the specific cultural framing around it matters more than the word itself. In practice, Chokin tends to function as pay yourself first, savings treated as the very first obligation paid out of a paycheck, before any discretionary spending happens, rather than whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month, if anything is. Consider a composite, illustrative example, built to make the mechanism concrete rather than to claim it as a verified case study. Picture someone we'll call Renata, earning a solid but unremarkable salary, who restructures her paycheck the day it lands. A fixed percentage moves to savings automatically, before rent, before groceries, before anything discretionary even has the chance to compete for that money. It isn't a bigger number that changes her trajectory over the following decade, it's the order of operations, savings first instead of savings last, that determines whether that specific percentage ever survives contact with the rest of the month. Panel 9, Shinrin-yoku, literally forest bathing, immersive time spent in nature with no destination and no purchase attached to it. Its relevance here is almost entirely defensive, it's a fully legitimate form of leisure and stress relief that costs nothing, standing in direct contrast to the default American assumption that relaxation requires a purchase, a subscription, or a destination to count as real. Panel 10, Hansei, a practice of honest self-reflection, traditionally used in Japan even after a success, not only after a failure, specifically to ask what could still be improved. This is the habit that ties the other 9 together into an actual repeating cycle rather than 9 disconnected tips. Kakeibo generates the raw data, handwritten is what you actually do with it every month, sitting with the numbers honestly instead of either ignoring them or spiraling into shame over them. Now, the actual numbers worth sitting with, because this is the part of the video where the pattern stops being philosophical and starts being measurable, and it's worth naming precisely rather than rounding into something more dramatic sounding than it needs to be. Government and industry data both confirm the scale of what these 10 habits are quietly working against. USDA and EPA estimates put household food waste at somewhere between 30 and 40% of the entire food supply, costing an average family of 4 somewhere in the range of $1,500 to nearly $3,000 a year, depending on which federal estimate you use. EPA data on textile waste puts the average American's discarded clothing at somewhere around 80 pounds a year, a number directly at odds with Modernized's entire premise. Heading into this year, YouGov's own polling found that just over half of Americans, 53%, had actually set a budget, meaning close to 47% hadn't, a Kakeibo-shaped gap sitting quietly in almost half the country. Vanguard's own retirement research puts the average American's employee-only 401k contribution rate at around 7.5% of pay, a number the same research consistently recommends nearly doubling for a genuinely comfortable retirement. And on the other side of the ledger entirely, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's most recent household debt data puts total U.S. credit card debt above $1.3 trillion, at an average interest rate hovering around 21 to 22%, on an average balance of roughly $6,500 per cardholder. A debt structure that the entire philosophy behind Chokin and handwritten is built specifically to prevent from forming in the first place. Before this goes any further, it's worth addressing the 2 most obvious objections directly, because both of them are fair, and dodging them would make everything above less credible, not more. The first isn't holding up a foreign culture's habits as some kind of ancient secret a little reductive, maybe even a little disrespectful. The honest defense here isn't vague reverence, it's precision. Real historical figures, real dates, a real magazine, a real manufacturing philosophy with a real corporate origin, treated with actual specificity rather than flattened into an ancient Japanese secret. The second objection is the more structurally important one. Japan's genuinely low consumer debt levels aren't purely a story of individual willpower and clever habits. They're also a story of a different banking and credit culture, different interchange and lending norms, and a stronger cultural stigma around carrying debt at all. That's real, and it's worth saying plainly rather than pretending these 10 habits alone explain an entire national savings rate. What they do explain, reliably, at the individual level, regardless of which country's financial system surrounds you, is the gap between what you earn and what you actually keep. And if there's a third objection sitting underneath both of those, it's probably the quietest and most common one. I've already tried tracking my spending, I've got an app on my phone right now, and it hasn't changed anything. That objection is actually the whole point of starting with Kakeibo instead of ending with it. A frictionless app that logs a purchase automatically, seconds after it happens, was never designed to make you pause before buying. A handwritten ledger, filled out by hand, at the end of a day or a week, forces exactly the pause an automatic app was built to remove. The tool isn't tracking for its own sake, it's reintroducing a moment of friction into a system engineered to eliminate every possible moment of friction between an impulse and a purchase. So here's the actual, repeatable cycle, once all 10 panels are sitting side by side instead of scattered across a list. Kakeibo generates the honest data. Motonai and wabi-sabi govern what happens to things you already own, repair and reuse instead of automatic replacement. Hara Hachi Bu and Kaizen govern the rate, stop at 80%, adjust by 1%, let compounding do the rest of the work neither willpower nor a raise ever could. Ikigai keeps the whole system anchored to an actual reason instead of drifting toward whatever feels good in the moment. Oasuji clears out what no longer earns its place, once a year, on purpose. Chokin makes savings the first obligation instead of the leftover. Shinrin-yoku proves leisure doesn't require a receipt. And Hansei closes the loop every single month, honestly, without either denial or shame, and hands you straight back to Kakeibo to start again. None of this requires a raise. None of it requires a windfall, a side hustle, or a single risky bet on anything. It requires the much less glamorous, much more repeatable discipline of noticing where the money was actually going the whole time, and deciding, deliberately, panel by panel, which of it was ever really necessary. That kitchen table moment from the opening, the number that doesn't match the effort, isn't a life sentence. It's just the first honest entry in a ledger you haven't started yet.